Hello Jesus, it's me again. Hello God, it's me again. It is currently 4:44 in the morning. I have to get ready for work and I am physically exhausted. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna talk about some shit. I don't know yet, but we're gonna figure it out. Oh my god! Just burned the end of my nail off. So for the rest of this video, I will be doing an audio recording of my voice, just a voice over the video, just because there is no audio to the video, because I wasn't speaking at all. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't want to wake anybody up. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing the top 10 most dangerous serial killers in America. Since it is Halloween, I wanted to do something a little bit more spookier or on the dark side. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this theme on my channel. I just kind of like doing the makeup theme. I do like horror and I do like serial killers and everything like that. However, I don't know if my target audience really likes that kind of content. So I just wanted to try it out on Halloween and see how it went. So with that, let's get into the video. Coming in first place is Ted Bundy, if you haven't heard him, which I'd be surprised if you haven't. He was born in 1946 and died in 1989. He was a serial killer in the mid-1970s. Ted Bundy himself admitted to around 36 killings when he was caught. However, experts believe there was over at least 100 killings that he has not admitted to. Ted Bundy would lure his victims into his car by pretending to be injured or hurt. He then proceeded to brutally rape his victims and then beat them to death or strangle them to death. In 1975, Bundy was arrested in the kidnapping of Carol D., one of the few women to escape his clutches. He was convicted and received a 1 to 15 year sentence. He was later executed in the electric chair. Bundy was caught and arrested multiple times. In 1977, the first time he was indicted on murder charges for the death of a young Colorado woman and decided to act as his own lawyer in the case. During a trip to the courthouse library, he jumped out of a window and made his first escape. He was captured 8 days later. In December, Bundy escaped custody again. He climbed out of a hole he made in the ceiling of his cell, having dropped more than 30 pounds to fit through the small opening. Authorities did not discover that Bundy was missing for 15 hours, giving him a way head start to run away. One of Ted Bundy's famous quotes from his trial was, "I don't feel guilty for any of the murders. I feel sorry for people who feel guilt." Second most dangerous murderer in America is John Wayne Gacy. This one to me is probably the most horrifying one that I've read, and it goes into extreme detail, not only because of how graphic it is, but also just because of what he did, and I also have a slight fear of clowns. So it's a little bit scary to read into, but there's no other way to describe this quote-unquote man other than deranged and sociopathic. He was nicknamed Killer Clown because of his day job attending children's birthdays, parties, and charitable events as quote-unquote Pogo the Clown. Gacy was convicted of raping, torturing, and murdering 33 teenage boys over a 6-year period. He would lure them into his home, kill them either strangulation or asphyxiation, then bury them on his property. He was later executed in May 1994. I just genuinely want to emphasize that this is the killer clown that murdered, tortured, and raped people and put them through an excruciating, horrible death. And then showed up to kids' parties midday and charitable events midday, just as Pogo the Clown. I just want to emphasize on that because I think that's absolutely fucking hilarious and also completely and utterly deranged and horrifying at the same time. Then coming at number 3, there is Gary Leon Ridgway, born February 18th, 1949, also known as the Green River Killer, as an American serial killer. He was initially convicted of 48 separate murders. As part of his plea bargain, another conviction was added, bringing the total number of convictions to 49, making him the second most prolific serial killer in the United States history, according to confirmed murders. He killed many teenage girls and women in the state of Washington during the 1980s as well as the 1990s. I don't know about you guys, but the way my 2020 is going, if I saw this man in an alleyway, I'd run up to him and give him a nice big hug. The man we all know and are completely and utterly terrified of, or just completely and utterly romanticized, because that's what Generation Z does, Jeffrey L. Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster. He was an American serial killer and sex offender who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 young men and boys from 1978 to 1981. Although Dahmer was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and psychotic disorder, Dahmer was legally found sane at his trial. He was convicted of 15 to 16 murders he had committed in Wisconsin. He was sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment on February 15, 1992. Dahmer was later sentenced to a 16th term of life imprisonment for an additional homicide committed in Ohio in 1970. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was beaten to death by his cellmates, and that was his cause of death. Coming at number 5 on our long list of serial killers, Richard Ramirez, from February 29, 1960 to June 7, 2013. Richard Ramirez was an American serial killer, serial rapist, and burglar. His high publicized home invasion crime spree terrorized the residents of greater Los Angeles area, later the residents of San Francisco area from June 1984 until August 1985. Richard Ramirez used a high variety of weapons such as handguns, knives, machete, tire iron, and a hammer. Ramirez, who claimed to be a Satanist, never expressed any remorse for his crimes. The judge who upheld Ramirez's 19th death sentences remarked that his deeds exhibited cruelty, callousness, and viciousness beyond any human understanding. Ramirez died of complications of B-cell lymphobia while awaiting execution on California's death row. And coming at number 6 on our list, there is Dennis Rader. He was born in the United States from 1974 to 2004. He is known as the BTK killer. He murdered 10 people in the Sedgwick County area. Dennis Lynn Rader, born March 9th, 1945, is an American serial killer known as BTK. An abbreviation he gave himself for the bind, torture, and kill of the BTK Strangler. Between 1974 and 1991, Rader killed 10 people in Wichita and Park City, Kansas, and sent taunting letters to police and newspaper describing the details of his crimes. After a decade-long hiatus, Rader resumed sending letters in 2004, leading to his 2005 arrest. After his arrest, he pleaded guilty in the court and is now serving 10 consecutive life sentences for his 10 murders. At number 7, we have the widely well-known Jack the Ripper. He was an unidentified serial killer active in the largely impoverished areas in and around Whitechapel district of London in 1888. In both the criminal cases and contemporary journalistic accounts, the killer was called the Whitechapel Murderer and Leather Apron. Attacks revolving around Jack the Ripper's name usually involved female prostitutes who lived and worked in the slums of East End of London, whose throats were cut prior to abdominal mutilation. Removal of internal organs from at least 3 of the victims led to proposals that their killer had some anatomical surgery knowledge. After multiple false letters actually came into the mail to news stations as well as the police Scotland Yard, Jack the Ripper himself sent in a letter with a victim's kidney in the mail. Jack the Ripper was never caught and he remains anonymous to this day. And at number 8, we have William George Bonin, born January 8, 1947 to February 23, 1996. also known as the Freeway Killer. He was an American serial killer and twice paroled sex offender who committed the rape, torture, and murder of a minimum of 21 boys and young men in a series of killings in 1979 to 1980 in Southern California. Bonin is also suspected of committing a further of 15 murders. Described by the prosecutor of his first trial as the most arch-evil person who's ever existed, Bonin was convicted of 14 of the murders linked to the Freeway Killer. In 2 separate trials in 1982 and 1983, he spent 14 years on death row before he was executed by lethal injection in San Quentin. At number 8, we probably have the worst one that I've read about so far. Hamilton Howard Albert Fish, born May 19, 1870 to January 16, 1936. He was an American serial killer, child rapist, and cannibal. He was also known as the Gray Man, the Werewolf of Wisteria, the Brooklyn Vampire, the Moon Maniac, and the Boogeyman. Fish once boasted that he had children in every state, meaning he had children victims in every state. As well as he also stated at one time the number of victims he had was about 100. However, it's not known whether he was referring to rapes or cannibalism, nor is it known if the statement was truthful or not. Fish was a suspect in at least 5 murders during his lifetime. He confessed to 3 of the murders that police were able to trace to a known homicide, and he confessed to a stabbing to at least 2 other people. Fish was apprehended in December 13, 1934, and put on trial for the kidnapping and murder of Grace Budd. He was convicted and executed by electric chair on January 16, 1936, at the age of 65. He was apprehended as well as arrested and put into the death penalty. His crimes were dramatized and pretty much romanticized in the 2000 film The Gray Man, starring Patrick B. as Fish. And with that, that was the top 8 most dangerous serial killers, not only in America, but as well as the UK. I know it was a little bit gruesome and a little bit dark, typically not what I usually post about, but I thought it was Halloween. I thought it would be a cute idea along with the cute little Halloween makeup that I was doing on the video. I know I didn't really go into detail with the makeup, but I will be posting tutorials on my makeup in the future, detailing what products I use and what I do with the products and everything like that. But with that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said, I know it's not what I typically do post because usually it's either politics or drama or something like that. However, I'm experimenting with my channel while it's still small, while I'm still growing it, so I can do that and just kind of find out what works for me, what works with my channel. Anything that you guys like, just make sure you either comment it or message me and let me know what you want to see in the future on my channel because I am willing to experiment. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you whenever I post next because I don't have a certain schedule.